Hello, this is Alita Bunny Hendricks with another allhorsetalk.com stable skill video for you. Today we're going to discuss alfalfa cubes. Before we continue, I'd like to remind you all that I am not a veterinarian, nor am I a horse nutritionist, but I've been around the barns for a lot of years, and I've learned from an awful lot of very smart veterinarians and horse nutritionists and other horse care professionals all along the way. So here's what I've found to be useful, and I hope it works for you. Again, before you ever try anything new with your own horse, you might want to discuss it with your own veterinarian or professional horse person in your area. Okay, alfalfa cubes. Lots of benefits to alfalfa cubes. You've got to find good ones. They can stretch your hay budget. They can be easier to store. They add protein and calcium to the diet. Sometimes that's a very, very good thing. They're wonderful for older horses. I have two geriatrics on my farm. One is 23 and the other one is 31, and quite a bit of their diet is comprised of well-soaked alfalfa cubes and well-soaked beet pulp, which the directions for that are available on another allhorsetalk.com video on beet pulp. The older horses really do need the extra protein, and they're much easier to chew than hay. When their teeth are old, it's difficult to chew. It also helps keep the weight on. Their digestive systems are not as efficient when they're older, so they need a lot of extra help keeping weight on, and alfalfa cubes is one of those ways. They aid in digestion for all horses when they are well wet. We'll talk about some cautions using alfalfa cubes a little bit later. How to prepare these. I never feed them dry. I have seen horses choke on them when just fed one little hay cube as a little tidbit, and that was not a pretty experience. The first thing you want to do is you want to measure your amount. Once again, as with the beet pulp, I've used a 3-pound coffee can. Again, make sure that your coffee can is a 3-pound variety. There are some that are less than 2 pounds, which they're shorter. For my horses, they're used to the hay cubes, and they are a part of their regular diet, especially with the other horses in the winter. I use a full can with each horse. I'm going to prepare what I would start a horse off at. And again, I want to start a horse off at about a third or 1/4 or a third the amount that I think that I will include in his diet. And then try those for about 5 days. And if there are no signs of intolerance or allergies to that substance, then I can continue on with getting him used to it. So all in all, if I were going to get a horse used to a full amount of one of these cans of alfalfa cubes soaked, it would take me 5 days for the first third, another 5 days for the second third, and then about, for the last third, it would take me another 5 days just to make sure everything is adjusted well. So that's about 2 weeks total to make the transition. Okay, so I have little lines to measure in my container. I'm not sure if you can see them, but I've measured the amount. I'm going to pour those in a bucket to soak. The amount of water that I want to add, I want to add enough water so that I've well covered the cubes and that it looks a bit wet and a bit soupy, but I'll turn the video off after and let these soak for a few minutes, and then we'll continue the process. So here we go. Douse the water around. Okay, and they're kind of swimming around in there. It looks like there's a lot of water, and you'll be surprised at how much water these very dry things absorb. There are also other kinds of dried alfalfa products that you can use with your horse if you prefer. These are alfalfa cubes, and it's a fairly large cube. It's through the process, the alfalfa is chopped and dried and then sent through in like an extruder, which makes the shape. There are alfalfa mini cubes, which are basically the same shape, but they're smaller. Now, in my experience with the mini cubes, they do take a longer amount of soaking. They take a couple of hours to soak. They seem to be much more dense. They're tighter, they're harder, and they take a while longer to soak up the water. As you can see, after they soak, they break. There are also alfalfa pellets that are available out there, but I like the alfalfa cubes because I can get them nice and wet and create something that's very soupy and very, very good for my older horses, from all horses, but my older horses' digestive systems. So I'm going to turn this off after and turn this back on after these have soaked for a little while. And we're back Welcome back to allhorsetalk.com, and we've been soaking this mixture of alfalfa cubes in water and breaking apart the little chunks for about 10-15 minutes now, and you can see the consistency is very different from before. It looked very watery, but as you can see, these cubes have absorbed just about all of the water. And actually, I think I'm going to actually add a little bit more. I have a few of these cubes that are kind of the size of a large carrot nugget or so, and they're still quite hard. And I want you to see the inside. You can see the inside is very hard, and it's very dry as well. So I'm going to add just a smidge more water. There you go. Because as I break these little cube pieces up, what I do is I break them up and then stick them down into the water so that they will be able to absorb a little bit more. And again, I want to caution you that if the cubes aren't soaked sufficiently and there's not enough water in the whole mixture, it can cause choke, which is dangerous. Would require you to call your veterinarian out. Your horse would be quite distressed if these cubes lodged in his throat and then began to absorb his saliva and then began to swell. Or they can cause a digestive problem such as colic. If there's not enough water, they will start to absorb the water that's in the hind gut and then create hard blocks that the stomach that the digestive system cannot pass. So both of those complications may require your vet. And again, I want to remind you that fresh alfalfa hay is usually the better choice, the best choice, if your horses can chew it. My old guys can't chew it. You can see the quality of the good alfalfa. And in my area, alfalfa hay runs $15 a bale and up, so it's cost prohibitive, and my storage situation is such that I don't have room to store a lot of extra hay. So these can be a good solution to some of your feeding problems. All of my horses get some of these at night, and my old fellas get it morning and night. So I'll break these up, and this again, whoops, is allhorsetalk.com, and happy feeding. Thank you and goodbye.